All right. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're well. Karibuni sana. Welcome to the Forex Daily Analysis, this beautiful fifth day of February 2025. Hope you had a good time on the charts yesterday and in everything else that you're doing, but we're really happy that you could join us this morning. For the sake of guys who are joining us here for the first time, Karibuni sana. Hopefully, you will be joining us every Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. in the morning with the same link. Of course, if you do come to our YouTube channel, you should be able to find us here because we will be live, but also feel free to subscribe and also like and also turn on the bell notification so that you will be notified anytime that we do actually end up going live. So John Bogo is my name. I'm a trader with Afriforex. Afriforex, like we always say, is a trading unit. So it's not a one-man show. We do have the rest of the team here. So of course, in case you do have any questions, any requests, compliments, complaints, feel free to put them on the chat box. Team will be there to respond, but I will also be looking at them, but towards the tail end of this session. So we're going to jump straight into it. And as always, we'll start off by looking at the watch list. So you can see the watch list right there. So today, the 5th of February, 2025, can't see what the game plan is going to be looking like. Hopefully, you can end up taking note of that. You can't see in comparison to what we had yesterday. There has been some sort of a mass exodus of the currency pairs moving to the sell side. So we only do have the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen on the buy side of things. So we'll see how things end up going on that front. But in terms of the indices and the commodities, you can't see that there isn't much of a change. So we'll start off by looking at the currency pairs that we did have yesterday that unfortunately did not make it to our watch list this morning. So you can't see right there. We'll start off with the Great British Pound against the Australian dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can't see the three areas that I had pointed out, also an illustration of what to expect. So in the morning, price was here, but I did point out that we did need to see the price hold above this region right here for us to look for some buying opportunities. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. You can't see that the market came, held to the downside. So I guess there was a probe to the upside of this region. The sellers within this area right here definitely gave issues. You can't see that weak right there to the upside. And unfortunately, we just couldn't get the buyers responding within here. You can't see that the market came to the downside. So unfortunately, this one, there wasn't any buy, but also possibly could be something to do with the Great British Pound. It was showing a lot of weakness yesterday. So I guess maybe that could continue being the case moving into today. And of course, we have switched the Great British Pound and we have put it to the sell side of things. So moving on to the next one, this is the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. You can see the three areas and also illustrations of what ideally we're expecting to see happen. So unfortunately, price bounced off this region right here. But remember that I had pointed out that there are these buyers who were possibly going to give issues, and they did. And they pushed the market to the upside. We couldn't get the market breaching down. You can see that the market continued going up for pretty much the whole of yesterday, came back in within here. There was really nothing to tell us to look for any selling opportunities. So unfortunately for us on that one yesterday, there wasn't much in terms of selling opportunities. And of course, moving into today, not really a currency pair that we will be watching out for. So the next one, this is the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities as well. So you can see the three areas right there, or more or less four, because remember that I also did end up adding this level right here. So in the morning, price was here. I'm expecting maybe could have gotten price coming back in within there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But also remember that I did point out that maybe could have gotten some sales coming down. But I put this level right here and I pointed out that in case you do jump in on any sales, then be ready to get taken for a ride within this region here. And you can definitely see that's exactly what happened. You know, the sellers just couldn't breach this level to the downside. And of course, we're waiting for a breach to the downside of this area. And hopefully, if the market came back in here and held, I think this sell could have been much better than trying to squeeze yourself in within this region. And you can see how frustrating that was, you know, definitely hanging on to a selling position that's just not working. So I had pointed that out, and I hope that you did actually end up heeding to that advice. So moving on into the next one, this is the euro against the Great British Pound. So for this one yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities as well. So you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was somewhere within, if we do go back to the time, so at around 9, price was somewhere here. So price came back in within here, and I was expecting hopefully to get something to possibly end up telling us to look for some selling opportunities. So once I did start to see this slowdown of the buyers within this region right here, and I knew that most probably the market was going to try and spike up, of course, just trading this on a smaller time frame. I did actually end up grabbing this opportunity coming down, but unfortunately, it didn't really go far. Remember, like I pointed out, the Great British Pound pairs yesterday were not really showing that much strength that we did actually end up wanting to see. And you can see that I did actually end up putting an alert down within this area here. And you can see that the price just came so shy of that area. I think this was at around 8 or there about 8 p.m. yesterday, just came shy of that area there. But you can see that the market did actually end up pulling back to the upside, and it's been hanging on within here. So I did end up putting the stop loss at break even, waited to see what happened, woke up this morning, because this was early this morning. The market wasn't really moving, ended up scratching this trade. So unfortunately, this one did fully work out. But like I always keep on pointing out, a break even exit is better than a loss. But in any case, it wasn't even fully break even, because it did still end up giving some returns. But it does seem like it could end up hanging around within that region there. And I'm not really wanting to sign up for that moving into today. So I guess I'll possibly end up looking for opportunities elsewhere. So the next one, this is the euro against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. And you can see the three areas right there that I had pointed out, also an illustration of what to expect. I had pointed out that looking for the selling opportunities down here wasn't really the best, considering that there were these buyers down here. And you can see that the buyers did actually react, push the market to the upside. Within this region here, there was really nothing to tell us to look for those selling opportunities. So unfortunately for us on that one, yesterday, there wasn't much of a sell. So the next one, the euro against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten selling opportunities as well. So you can see the three areas right there, and also some illustrations of what to expect. So in the morning, price was here. Pointed out that maybe could have gotten price coming back in within here. And I was expecting maybe when the price came in here, we could have gotten some sort of a slowdown, but the market just turned around off that area right there and actually came to the downside, which was also a bit frustrating, because also this one had really timed it. I was really expecting to get the market giving us some sort of a price action signal within here, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Price came down, broke this region to the downside. Can't see that it did pull back in within there and attempted to go down, but unfortunately couldn't go far. You can see that also this one is kind of held within that particular region right there. So unfortunately, moving into today, not really a currency pair that we'll be trying to see whether we can end up trading. So the next one is the Great British Pound against the New Zealand dollar. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. Can't see what the game plan was. So price was here in the morning. We're expecting price to come back in within here. Price did come back in, but unfortunately the buyers were just not interested. So I guess the big boys possibly not interested in the Great British Pound pairs, but also yesterday the markets were not really moving as such. I think also maybe due to the fact that there were also not quite a good amount of economic events on the fundamentals. So maybe that did end up playing a part. So maybe that's the reason why things didn't move yesterday. But today, at least today, the economic calendar is jam-packed. So possibly we will end up getting some good moves on the charts. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities and see what the game plan was on this one as well. So in the morning, price was somewhere here. I did point out, hopefully we did get a breach to the downside, but not really looking for sales within here. You can't see that the buyers continue to push the market to the upside. Price came back in within here. There was really nothing. And of course, once price broke above that red SNR to the upside, there was definitely no trade for us. So last but not least, we do have the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some sells. Can't see the three areas, also illustrations of what to expect. Price was here, expecting maybe you could have gotten the market pulling back in within this region here, or maybe in case the market broke and held within here. And we did get a nice strong breach. Consider the market just broke and just more or less held within this area right here, but wasn't really doing much. Then when the pullback came in, you can see how aggressive the buyers came up. Real fight that was going on, but not really anything worth writing home about, because I mean, we wanted to see the market make lower lows and lower highs, which unfortunately was not really the case. So that's pretty much it in terms of the currency pairs that we did have yesterday that did not make it to our watch list today. So guess we can end up shifting gears into looking at some screenshots. So a number of screenshots we did get from yesterday's activities. So we'll start off with this one from Ravi. So this is on silver as always. So I can see you got a buying opportunity on this one, somewhere within this region right here. And of course, as price was going up, I can see that your stop loss came in just beneath your point of entry, which was okay. Hopefully, you did manage some of your trade higher up within there. Of course, considering the market had been there before, definitely you should be expecting some sort of reaction. But not too worried about how you managed your trades. I know that you're a real sniper on the charts, so keep up the good work, Praveen. And of course, keep those screenshots coming, and we're always happy to see your progress. So the next one was a screenshot from Christine Washara, if you're here. Shout out to you as well. So this is on gold. So I can see that you got a good buying opportunity on this one. As price was going up, stop loss already way above your point of entry, and you're really trailing it quite close. So, but at least just beneath that buyer who's pushing the market to the upside. This is really good. Good to see that at least you got that move going up. I also timed this buy and I got it, and we'll end up looking at it much later. But unfortunately, I didn't get all the way till up there. I think I got stopped out somewhere within this region here before the market actually took off to the upside during the US session. But good to see that you got the buy going up. So shout out to you for that, Christine, and of course, keep up the good work. So we also did get a screenshot from Dan Pickett as well. So I can see that you got a buying opportunity on the NAS 100, high up within that region there. Price was going up in your favor. I can see that your stop loss did come above your point of entry, which was okay. This one was quite an aggressive entry, if I do say so. I don't know if you went down to the smaller time frame to possibly see the story of what was going on within here, but at least you did end up grabbing it as it was taking off from within this area right here. Moving up to the upside, and of course you did end up managing your risk, at least in terms of even if it was an aggressive entry, but at least you did end up managing the situation quite well. But such kind of trades are quite risky, but I know that Dan Bickett, you're a real cowboy on the charts. So the next one, this is the Great British Pound against the New Zealand dollar. So this one is from George. So George, shout out to you as well. So I can see that you got a selling opportunity. I guess you took advantage of the weakness that the GBPs were showing. So I can see that you got the sell high up within there, coming down, targeting down within this region there. I can see that your stop loss is already beneath your point of entry, which is good. So this one, not a bad trade, very good trade in terms of where you got the trade, and of course in terms of money management. And you also did get the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So I can see that you got the buying opportunity here, especially if you got it on the pullback. And the market came down, read that on a smaller time frame, stop loss already above your point of entry, but at least just beneath that buyer who's pushing the market to the upside, which is good because the market can easily come back in within that area right there for some sort of a retest. So shout out to you, George Chege, for that, and of course, keep up the good work. So last but not least, we did get some screenshots from Metrine. So I see that you got, this is the US 30 or the Dow Jones or the WS 30. So I can see that you got quite a handful of buying opportunities, stop losses all over the place, but I think you've managed your risk for all the respective trades that you've taken. But at least at this point when the market is, somewhere within this region right here, at least your stop losses or all your stop losses should be together somewhere within this area right here, just beneath this buyer who's pushing the market to the upside. So where you have this SNR right here, I guess that's where you should be having your stop losses or somewhere within that region there. So that at least you also do end up maximizing in case the market does end up coming down. At least you'll end up coming out with something handful. So make sure you just end up possibly watching out for that, but you should be good to go. And also on the NAS 100, also a handful of trades that you did get as the market was going up. At least you got them down within this region as the market went up. Of course, stop losses, all your stop losses could be somewhere within that region at the 21,340.7 level or somewhere within that area. At least you could possibly have all your stop losses there. So that's not too bad. I know that you did mention, Metrine, that you actually want the grace to actually end up taking one trade as opposed to taking many trades. That will come with time and practice. And of course, I know, having very many trades running at the same time also does end up giving a bit of a headache or a big headache when it comes to managing those trades. That's the reason why maybe taking one trade might actually end up being a good idea. But of course, with practice, as you continue gaining the confidence, because I know you're talking about gaining confidence, you'll definitely gain the confidence with time. But of course, the only way to learn how to trade is to keep on trading. So keep at it, keep moving. And of course, in due time, you definitely will become good. So that's pretty much it in terms of the screenshots. So shout out to Bravin, Christine, George, and Matrine. Shout out to you guys for the good work and keep up the good work. Remember, guys, if you do get any trades or any setups, feel free to send them in to us. We're more than happy to see what you guys are up to. And of course, we'll give you the much needed shout out that you will need. And definitely, if we do see something good with what you're doing, and of course, if we do see something that you can end up correcting, then we'll also end up giving that to you and give you that free advice. So our contact details are there. Feel free to send in your screenshots to us via WhatsApp. The contact details should be in the video description. So shifting gears into matters today. So Wednesday, the 5th February 2025, can't see what the watch list is going to be looking like. So we're going to be mixing and matching up the Swiss franc pairs, or the Swiss franc against the currency pairs on the sell side, then move on to the yen pairs. We're going to do the same. Then we'll finish off with the indices and the commodities as always. So the first one off the line is the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see the three areas that I had pointed out. In the morning, price was here, and I pointed out that it wasn't such a good idea to look for the sells, considering the fact that we're just holding above this support region. And you can really see that the buyers really gave issues and the sells were not really working off there. The market pulled back to the upside, but it's not yet coming fully within this region right here. So we're expecting most probably, if we could get the market coming back in within that area there, hopefully today we might get a good selling opportunity to come down with the market. So do watch out for that. Let's see if we can get the buyers, hopefully maybe slowing down within here. But remember that that's only one part of the story. The other part is that we also do need to see the aggressive sellers show up, because if they don't show up within that region, then there's a possibility price could actually breach to the upside and continue rallying up. So let's wait and see what does end up happening on this one. But the levels are the same, the story is the same. Price hasn't moved fine beyond the regions that we had pointed out yesterday. But remember that in case the market breaks and holds above the red SNR to the upside, then unfortunately at that point in time, there will be no trade for us. So moving on into the next one, which is the euro against the Swiss franc. So for this one, yesterday the game plan was to try also see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. But unfortunately, yesterday, the CHFs were not really moving. So you can see that also this one, yesterday, price was somewhere within this region, more or less the same area where it was yesterday is where we are today. So we wanted to see the price breach to the downside and hopefully hold, and maybe we could have gotten a selling opportunity. You can see that it just barely broke to the downside, really struggled to hold to the downside, came back up to the upside, and you can see that it's really been holding above that support region. So let's see if maybe today, if we could get the price possibly coming back up, because if the sellers are not moving, then it means that these prices that they're getting, within this region are not good enough. So maybe we might get some sort of incitement. Maybe more buyers need to be invited. When they do end up coming in, maybe that's when the sells or the big boys will end up activating their sells. So let's wait and see what does end up happening. The game plan is the same. In case we do get a move to the downside, then I guess we'll have to end up waiting to see whether we can get a breach and a hold. So it's more or less the same story as what we were expecting yesterday. So we do need to see that breach to the downside, the hold, and maybe we could try and see whether we could get, a selling opportunity on this leg coming down till somewhere within this region right here. So let's wait and see what happens on that one. Of course, remember to watch out for the times that we keep on mentioning. 11, which is the London market open. We do have 4 p.m., which is the New York session open, and 5:30, which is the New York Stock Exchange open. So let's just wait and see what happens within those times. You could find the market on the pullback phase, maybe during the London session, and then maybe during the US session. That's when maybe you will find the market possibly making a move. So just make sure that you're on the lookout for that. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one, yesterday, also a currency pair we had, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So in the morning, price was here. So we wanted to see the market attempt to go to the upside, then maybe come down. If we did get a hold to the downside, maybe we could have looked for the sell. So the market went up, came down, then you can see that it held within here. There was some sort of a support region here. We're keen to see what was going to happen when price came back in within here, but you can see that the price did break to the upside of this area right here and actually held above. And you can see that today during the Asian session, the market has actually started its pullback coming up. So let's keep our fingers crossed and keep our eyes open. Hopefully the market will come back in somewhere within this region here. And at least if we do get a good selling opportunity there, then at least first problem area that we should be targeting should be down within this area here. If we do clear this region, for those of you that are really good at trading, you could possibly end up scaling in somewhere within this area right here coming down. And hopefully we should be getting the market coming down till within this region. But of course, that's all dependent on if the sellers are going to be interested. Because if the market shows up within here and we don't see a reaction of the sellers, you can see that on Monday, the market really moved to the downside of that area. So at least we have an idea that there's a possibility that the sellers are sitting somewhere within this region here, but we do need to see what ends up happening when the market comes in within that area. So it's not just a matter of, the market comes back in within that resistance area that you just hit a sell. You really need to try and see whether you can get to understand what the story is, when the market gets back in within there before you actually end up executing your sell. And of course, remembering that in case the market breaks and holds above that red SNR, then unfortunately at that point in time, there will be no selling opportunity for us. So the next one, this is the US dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one, it's a new entrant on our watch list. We'll be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. You can see yesterday the market was coming down. It's found some sort of a support region down here. It's not really the best of times to look for the sells now, because you could easily find that the market could easily end up attempting to break to the downside and then come back up, and you could find the market coming back in within this region here. And if it does, then the best selling opportunities are definitely somewhere within there. So right now, it's all dependent on what happens here. If the market breaks to the downside and holds beneath this region to the downside, and let's say there are some attempts, by the buyers to actually break above that region, which end up being unsuccessful, then at that point in time, we could try and see whether we could get some selling opportunities within that. But you just need to make sure that you watch out for the next problem area beneath if the market does actually end up going to the downside. So maybe targeting maybe somewhere down within this area right here. Seems like there's definitely some buyers who are sitting there, but you also can see that there's a minus SNR within this region right here. So you also need to be careful. So this one, best bet, thinking maybe price could come back in within here. If the US dollar can at least get some sort of strength somehow to really give some sort of a pullback, I think the best selling opportunities and where I'll really be trying to eye them will be somewhere within this region. So hopefully during the London session, we'll be on the pullback. Then let's say at around 5:30, if price is back within here, then I guess we could potentially get a very good selling opportunity on that one. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and our eyes open to see what does end up happening on that one. So the next currency pair is the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So for this one, also a new entrant on our watch list. We will be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. So these are the three areas that we will be watching out for. Right now, the market is coming back, or it's come back in within some sort of a resistance area. You can see that the buyers really pushed within this region quite hard. The sellers retaliated. The buyers are still attempting to push up higher. But let's see if the sellers are going to retaliate off this area right here, at least if the market does attempt to go to the upside, because maybe that's what might end up marking the slowdown, especially of these buyers who really stepped up within this region quite aggressively, because we've not yet quite seen an aggressive seller coming in, because you can see that they did attempt here. The buyers went up quite aggressive, quite strong, and you can see that right now the sellers are attempting to come down. But if you look at what the sellers are doing, it's pure mediocrity. So I guess we'll need to see more of the big sellers coming in. So this one, let's wait and see what does end up happening. But I'm thinking maybe a spike to the upside, maybe that's what it might be needed to really end up, maybe inciting those last buyers to end up coming in for the sellers to possibly end up starting to come in. And also maybe that last push of the buyer before they actually do end up giving up the ball. So let's try and wait and see what happens on that one. Also remembering the red SNR at the top. If the market breaks above that red SNR and holds to the upside, then unfortunately there will be no trade for us. So last but not least, for the CHF pairs, we do have the Great British Pound against the Swiss franc. So this is also a new entrant on our watch list. We will be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. So these are the three areas that I will be watching out for. Let's wait and see what happens. I'm really hoping we also do get some sort of a pullback coming in for this one back within that area. Of course, being an aggressive trader, I always like getting the aggressive entries. There's always more room to the downside in case the market comes down, possibly could end up getting an opportunity somewhere within here to possibly end up scaling in within there, maybe targeting down within this region here. But of course, like we always say, we analyze to the best of our ability, but the market has a mind of its own. So in case that doesn't end up happening, then I guess I'll possibly end up having to look for the entry somewhere within here and possibly end up taking this sell coming down. But right now, when the market is holding just above this region, I would best advise that you possibly don't end up looking for any sells. And of course, if you're going to be looking for any buys, it's still fine, but you better have a very good reason as to why you're doing that. You always need to have a good reason for why you take any trades. So not just because John said that the market is going to be giving a pullback. I'm not the big boy. I'm just advising based on what I can see and how best I can read the charts. So let's wait and see what happens on that one. So that's pretty much it in terms of the CHF pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the yen pairs and see what things are going to be looking like on that front. And even before I forget, just looking at the economic calendar, like I was pointing out, yesterday there wasn't much that was happening. And I think maybe that's the reason why the charts were not really moving per se, because you can't see that all through the London session, there wasn't anything much. During the US session, there was more or less only one news event, and that was pretty much it. The yen pairs, like you will see, when we start looking at them, have really moved. I think that's because of these news events, the PMIs that were released this morning. The numbers were better than what was expected, better than what was previously there. And I think that's what has brought in a lot of strength for the yen pairs, because you will see that they've really moved. And of course, looking forward, you can see that there are quite a number of news events today. So I guess today, hopefully the charts will definitely be making a lot of moves, and hopefully we'll get some good opportunities in today. So moving on into the yens, we'll start off with the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. You can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out, and also the game plan of what we're expecting. Yesterday, there wasn't anything that was happening, but look at today, when the news events were released, look at how the markets did actually end up moving. I guess that selling opportunity that we wanted yesterday actually ended up happening today, but it's okay. Remember, we don't chase. We just have to wait for the next best opportunity. So right now, the sellers have come down. They've bounced off this area. If you did get the sells high up there, I should have already managed your trade within this area here. Let's see how these buyers end up retaliating. Consider they've pushed the market to the upside before of this region here. So it shouldn't be surprising if they actually do end up doing that again. So let's wait and see. Hopefully we can get the market coming back in within this level here. If that does end up happening, I think we could possibly end up getting some very good selling opportunities coming in within there, definitely managing our trades within there, even if we will be targeting down there. In case that doesn't end up happening, then we just need to be patient and see if this region can be cleared and we get the market actually holding to the downside of this area. Then I guess at that point in time, we can possibly try and see whether we can get some semi-aggressive conservative entries within this region here. So watch out for that. Also remember the red SNR at the top. In case the market breaks and holds above that region to the upside, if the market comes back in all the way to within that area, then just make sure that you do fall back on your selling opportunities. But based on the way things are going, it seems that the strength on the JPY pairs has really started to show. So hopefully during the London session, the big boys in London will actually end up keeping up with that. So the next one, this is the euro against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see the three areas and also an illustration of what to expect. In the morning, price was here. I did point out that this wasn't a very good area for us to look for our selling opportunities, and you clearly can't see why now. The buyers did react during the London session. Price came back in within here, and you can see that it just came just shy of that area there. And after that, you can see that the market did actually end up doing some sort of a turnaround within this region. Then today, during the Asian session, of course, once those news events were released, you can see that the market did actually end up picking up a lot of steam. coming to the downside. So for this one, let's see, hopefully we can get the market coming back in within here. At least we should possibly get some sort of a reaction or some sort of a retest of price coming back in within this area. If that does end up happening, I'll definitely be keeping my eyes locked on this region right here to possibly see whether I could get some very good selling opportunity coming down till somewhere within this region. And this is quite a handful of pips, you know, off this area coming down. We're looking at 100 pips, which means depending on what happens within that area, if I can get in a stop loss of maybe even 10 pips or 15, definitely looking at a 1:10 coming down off this region right here. But definitely it will be determined on what ends up happening when price comes back in within there. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed to see what happens. Also remember the region at the top. There's a possibility price can come back in there. Nothing is impossible when it comes to the charts. Could easily find, in as much as the yens are showing a lot of strength, Trump could easily tweet something and you find the market back within that region. If that does end up happening, then also make sure that you're also ready for that. So the next one, this is the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. So for this one, yesterday we were trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities as well. So you can see the three areas and also what the game plan was. So in the morning, price was here. Price pulled back in within this region. I had pointed out it wasn't a good idea to look for the sells within there. Price pulled back all the way to within this area right here. You can see that there was some sort of a turnaround. The buyers slowed down. Although this one could have been a bit hard to end up grabbing, especially considering the time when the turnaround and everything happened, because this was much, much later on in the day, because we're looking at maybe just almost at the stroke of midnight before the market did actually end up starting to move to the downside after those yen news events. So for this one, was gonna still be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities. Price is almost more or less back within the same region as yesterday. Maybe the market could start to be in some sort of a range. You definitely don't want to be getting your selling opportunities at the bottom of the range. So it's a matter of either the buyers react and we get the price back in within this area here. If that doesn't end up happening, then we'll have to wait for a breach of structure. If the market breaks free of this sort of range that it's forming, then hopefully we get the market coming back in within there for some sort of a retest. And before it starts moving to the downside, I think if you get some good sells within here, you should be good to go, maybe chill somewhere within this area here. So for this one, a bit of patience will be needed. Let's see whether maybe the market needs the London session to set itself up. And maybe you could find that maybe during the US session, that's when maybe the market could be ready to actually end up making a move. So the next one, this is the US dollar against the Japanese yen. So this one is a new entrant on our watch list, and we will be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. So we will be watching out for these three areas here. Consider this one has really moved quite far, and also yesterday price was coming down. I guess the US dollar is really getting hammered on this one. So let's wait and see what happens. But in terms of looking for the sells now, it's not the best of ideas, maybe unless if we get the market breaking to the downside. If we do get that pullback coming back in within there for some sort of a retest, possibly we could look for the sells at that point in time. But right now, give the buyers the benefit of doubt. You could find them reacting, price could come back in within this region here, and maybe you could find the sells. Think best could be happening off this area right here, and that's exactly where I will be waiting for them. Because also remember the sells right now, they're quite obvious. I mean, when the market starts coming down like this, there are definitely lots of people who are definitely jumping in on sales. It's very obvious. No one is thinking of a buy. When the pullback happens and everyone gets stopped out, this pullback right here is what I will be waiting to see, because definitely when that happens, there will be money on the table. And that's the money that we're going to be taking home if that pullback does end up happening. So moving on into the next one, this is the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. So for this one, this is also a new entrant on our watch list, but you can see that all the yen pairs have some very good correlation. Feels like we've analyzed the same chart quite a number of times over and over again. That tells you that the correlation is really in play, and the big boys are really pushing the yen pairs across the board. So we'll be trying to see whether we can also end up lending them a helping hand. So for this one for today, we'll be trying to see whether we can get sells. You can see that the market has also done some sort of bounce off this area before. That might end up happening again. You never know what the big boys could be up to. In case that happens and you find the pullback coming back in within this region, the best selling opportunities might be here. Definitely will need to manage your trade somewhere within this area right here, because it's not a guarantee that price will breach this region to the downside. But right now, since the market is attempting to break to the downside, it's okay. Let's see if we can get the market coming down. Then on the pullback, especially if we get a nice slow pullback of the buyers and the market actually holds to the downside of this area, at that point in time, you could definitely end up timing yourself. So right now, attempting the sell is a bit risky, especially considering the fact that you're not really free of these buyers region down within this area here. So if I could illustrate what I'm saying, you see within this region, they're generally buyers who are sitting here. And how we know that is based on the fact that you can see that there's a wick here. And the fact that price has been down within this region right here, and it's actually not been able to go further than this. So you could easily end up hitting the sell only to end up getting stuck within this particular region right here, which could end up being a bit frustrating. So you're better off waiting for the proper breach to end up happening, and a nice strong breach. When the market actually pulls back in, I think if you do look for the sells here, and of course watching out for the times, if that happens, let's say closer the US session open or within that time and the New York Stock Exchange open, you might find that that trade might actually end up being a winner, as opposed to actually hanging on to the trade, being taken on some sort of an emotional roller coaster within that particular region there. So last but not least, for the currency pairs, we do have the Great British Pound against Japanese yen. So this is also a new entrant on our watch list. We will be trying to see whether we can get some selling opportunities on this one. The story is the same as the rest of the yens. The pullbacks are needed. Let's wait and see what happens. This one is also within some sort of a support region. There's nothing really much you should be doing on this one, because if you do hit the sells now, highly likely you're going to be joining the 95% today. So, and you're going to be sleeping hungry. So you're better off possibly not looking for the sells right now, because it's also very obvious. Possibly wait and see if you can actually end up getting a breach to the downside, and maybe that could be your next best attempt. Or in case the market does actually end up reacting off this region right here, there's a possibility we could get the market coming back in within this area here. And I'm really hoping price comes back in within this region, because this is a strategic level. Consider the market broke this area to the downside. We've not really had some sort of a retest of this area. So most probably price will most definitely be coming back in within there, but it's not a guarantee. It's just interpreting what the charts and what the story of price is telling us. And I think this region right here might actually end up holding the best opportunities on that one for today. So that's pretty much it in terms of all the currency pairs. So hopefully you've taken note of that. So right now we're going to move on to the indices and the commodities. So you can see that there isn't much of a change. Actually, I think there was one that maybe we forgot to change. I think the NAS 100 should be on the buy. So apologies for that. I think maybe forgot to switch that. So yeah, so the US 30 is the only one on the sell side. Gold, silver, and the NAS 100 are definitely on the buying opportunity. So just make sure that you do take note of that, and hopefully you have updated. So apologies for that. So starting off with the NAS 100. So for this one, yesterday we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. And you can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out. So in the morning, price was here. We're expecting maybe price to come back in within here. Hopefully we do get something to tell us to look for the sells. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So you can see that the price came in within there, no reaction. The buyers really broke this area to the upside quite aggressive. And you can see that the market was more or less holding to the upside of this region. And remember that when it comes to the indices and the commodities, for as long as we're holding above the red SNR, and we do get that confirmation, we do start to look for buys. And if it does break to the downside, then we start looking for selling opportunities when we get the confirmation. So for this one, yesterday the sales were not working. Today the game plan is to go the other way. The buyers on the 1 hour time frame look like they're sitting somewhere within that region there. And that's the reason why we do have this red SNR down within this region. Remember that when we're trading, in as much as we're trading the 15-minute time frame, we do actually end up deriving the story from the 1 hour time frame. So on this one, it's a bit more clear, despite the fact that there's a gap within here. So there's a possibility price could bounce off here, maybe come up higher. There's a possibility price could be coming back in within this region right here, because you can see that the market has been on some sort of an some sort of an upward trend coming up. So let's wait and see what does end up happening. So you could easily find the market bouncing off this area here. You can see that the sellers are really coming in quite slow, and maybe if the market taps in within this region, you could find that maybe the aggression of the buyers, especially these buyers within this region right here, might actually end up showing up once again, and we could find the market actually moving to the upside. So hopefully, let's wait and see if we could get that happening. Remember that the indices and the commodities normally have a large tendency of moving during the US session. So you could find that maybe the market could be setting itself up during the London session, then maybe during the US session, that's when you could possibly end up finding the market making a move. So just make sure that you really do watch out for that. So moving on into the next one, which is the US 30. So for this one, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some selling opportunities. So you can see that in the morning price was here. Had pointed out that maybe you could find the market coming back in within this region here. You can see that the sellers really struggled to calm down, but definitely the buyers did push the market to the upside, is what it was expected. Though they pushed to the upside quite slowly, price has come back in within here. But you can't see some sort of an aggression of the sellers just yet, because even what's happening right now, this is pure mediocrity by the sellers. The big boys are just not there. So either the market might need to go up within this region, attempt to go up higher. If we do see a sign of the big boys show up, then at that point in time, especially if we do get the pullback, maybe we could get the market coming down. But in case the buyers do actually end up breaking to the upside and the market actually holds above here, and we do see visual attempts that the market is actually holding to the upside, then at that point in time, the selling opportunities will definitely be off. So let's wait and see what happens. But as it stands right now, we're still watching out for sales. Reason being that we're holding beneath that red SNR. So as far as we're concerned, we know that the sellers are still in control. They still can end up showing up. We'll just have to wait and see if they will actually end up showing up. So the next one is silver, and the second last thing that we normally look at. So for silver, yesterday, the buyers was to try to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So can't see what the three regions were and what the game plan was. So in the morning, price was here. We're expecting the pullback to come in within here. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So price came up within this area right here. Just more or less fooled around within this region and then took off to the upside. There wasn't much of a pullback until price came back in within here. It wasn't very clear in terms of the buy there. And I guess that's the reason why Bravin possibly ended up getting the buyers high up there, because that's the only pullback that we can't visually see. So for today, and of course, shout out to you, Bravin, once again on that trade. So for today, we're going to be trying to see whether we can get buying opportunities still. The buyers are still in control. We have gone higher. Right now, where the market is in terms of looking for the buys, not really the best of ideas, because you can't see that the sellers have reacted off here before. They can't do that again. If the market starts to get into some sort of a range, because it looks like maybe it might start to get into some sort of a range, especially considering the fact that you can't see a number of touches down here by the buyers and a number of touches up there by the sellers. You're not too sure whether the market is going to break to the upside. So hopefully if it does pull back in, I guess the best buy still remains somewhere within there. But if the market breaks and holds above this region and you get a proper pullback, then I guess we could possibly end up trying to see whether we could get some conservative buying opportunities. Maybe something similar to this, where the market broke to the upside, pulled back in. If you can read that, then definitely you can end up trying to see whether you can get your buying opportunity at that point in time. So watch out for that. Also watch out for the red SNR. Seems like a long shot, but you also can't find the market coming back in within that particular region. So last but not least, we do have gold. So for gold, yesterday, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. Same case as today. So before we look at today, let's just have a brief recap of what happened yesterday. So yesterday on this one, we're trying to see whether we could have gotten some buying opportunities. So you can see the three regions right there that I had pointed out. In the morning, price was here. I had pointed out that maybe you could have found the market coming back in within this region right here. And if we did get the buyers reacting, at that point in time, we could have gotten the buying opportunity. And you can see that the market sped up, maybe just trying to attack these buyers who are sitting within here. But the buyers did actually end up retaliating. If I do zoom in, you will actually see that the sellers were actually shut down and the market did actually end up pushing to the upside, came back in within here. So this was a trade that I actually did end up getting, although the finish wasn't as spectacular as I would have expected. Of course, I was looking for the big kill But I mean, you only take what the market gives you. You can't end up forcing. So when the market pulled back in within this region, which was exactly here, I did actually end up taking this trade coming up. I was targeting to possibly even just get till the high, because remember yesterday the high was here. Even forgetting about what happened today, but I definitely wanted to see if I could get the market coming back in within here. But I knew that there was a problem area somewhere within this region here. So I set the alert. And once I did end up getting the alert, that's when I actually did end up bringing the stop loss up higher and manage this trade as well. So off this area right here, the market did actually end up pulling back. And unfortunately, when it pulled back, came back in within this area, my stop loss was actually hit. And then after that, that's when the market did actually end up really moving to the upside, which, if I do say, it's a bit disappointing, but it's the nature of trading, because you can see that after that, the market did actually end up really going, and that would have been quite crazy, 1:17. But it's okay. So today is another day. Let's see what happens. So the market has gone up, and of course, shout out to Christine Mashera for getting the buy going up. Hopefully, you're still hanging on and managing the trade, as the market does continue moving to the upside. So moving into today, the market is continuing to move up higher. Right now, where we are, it's a price we've never been. Remember, I pointed out that gold has never really been here before, but it's really been moving up for an extended period of time. The market has really been going up. Guess records are being broken every day. Right now, we are at the high. In the morning, when we're looking at this one with the team, price was actually somewhere within this region right here. But it seems that price has actually broken to the upside of this area. Where is it heading? We have no clue. So we have to keep up with the story of what's happening. So if we do go to the 1 hour time frame, I guess the levels that we're going to end up having are still these ones right here. The reason being, and you can't end up taking note of them, the reason why I will still keep them the same is because in as much as the market seems to be moving to the upside, there's a possibility you could find the pullback coming back in within this region right here. So you could find some minor pullbacks coming in, but as far as we know, there was a level that was broken here, and you could find that the market might possibly end up coming back in within that region. And if that does end up happening, I think the best buys could still be somewhere within here. But that doesn't negate the fact that there are quite a number of scenarios within here. But I'm thinking if the deep pullback does end up coming in, quite a number of buyers who are hitting buys right now will definitely be stopped out. And remember that, for the big boys to actually end up making money, people need to be incited. People need to get in on late trades. Definitely a lot of people are hitting buys right now. As gold is moving up, I haven't looked at Bitcoin. I'm thinking maybe it could potentially also be going up, but I think there's a lot of people who are focusing. I think all attention is now on these ones because they're breaking records and they're going up higher and higher. And definitely more and more people are jumping in. You can see that the buyers are also starting to slow down even as the market starts to go up, or continues to go up. So hopefully we can get some sort of a pullback coming in. I think back within here. Definitely, I think the best buying opportunities might be here. So we just need to be patient to wait and see what happens, but also watch out for these two other regions right here. A bit of a long shot, but of course, if the market does find its way back within those regions, then you also should be ready for that. But also remember, there are quite a number of scenarios within here, but be very careful in terms of jumping in on those buying opportunities, especially if you can't get a proper pullback that you can actually read. And a pullback that will end up inciting the opposite party to come in, because you can see that these pullbacks are very shallow. But if I were to ask you, do you think those are pullbacks that would end up inciting the opposite party to come in? Definitely not, because pullback that give lower lows and lower highs, those are the ones that normally end up inciting the opposite party to come in. And as we know, there's definitely a point of interest somewhere within this region right here. So I will be waiting to see what happens within there. So hopefully you have taken note of that and everything else we've discussed, and also the watch list. So I guess that's pretty much it from me. So looking at the chat box, not really seeing much, which is okay. I guess everything is perfectly clear. So I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Let's see how the markets do end up going today. Remember, if you do get any trades, feel free to send them in to us. Watch out for your risk. as well. If you do need more education, more information, feel free to also hit us up. Our contact details are right there in the video description. And of course, if you do need also a trading account with a reputable broker, you can also end up getting that for free. There should be a link also in the video description that should guide you there. So I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. So with that, happy trading, guys, and bye for now. May the peace be with you. God bless.